Hi students, welcome back. It's Chase again with Star Tutors, and we hope you guys are all doing well. Today we are here with a very special video about the secrets, as the title would suggest, the secrets of the ACT, and truly understanding the scaling and the scoring for how this test works. Now, it's very, very different from anything that you guys are doing in school. So understanding how the test breaks down in terms of how it's graded essentially is so essential, because I promise you, it will put you at ease. One of the questions or one of the comments that we always get from students right off the bat is like, oh my God, this test is so much. I constantly hear about it. We call it chirping. Everybody's constantly talking about it. Well, if I don't get this score, then I don't get into this school. And that creates a whole bunch of anxiety and stress that you don't need to be a great test taker. In fact, the exact opposite of that is what you need. If you're relaxed, if you just look at some of these questions, if you answer some of these questions just in the same way that you would if there was no stress, if it was just another Saturday, you'll do so much better than if you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. So again, what we're going to try to walk you guys through today is this idea of understanding the ACT scale, understanding the ACT scoring system, and what that will allow you to do is the next time you sit down and take a test, you're like, oh, that's not that bad. I promise it's the first thing that we start off with in all of our classes. This one lesson, this 15-minute lesson will change the way you think about the ACT, I promise. So it's very, very important that you guys pay attention, because it works at every level. So whether or not you're testing to get a 36 or you're testing to improve to a 30 or a 25, whatever it is, this is going to work at every level, I promise. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the 74F test. Now, for those of you guys that have seen our videos or subscribed to us for a while, you know that we've done the 74F test in order. We've done all 4 sections. We've done them in real time. So we encourage you guys to check those out and watch our tutors and our teachers actually take this test in real time, these sections. It's somewhat entertaining, if anything else, just to watch these guys go through it. So I encourage you guys to take a look at that test. On top of that, the 74F test then relates to those scaled score reports that we've talked about in other videos in terms of our advanced score reports. In the links below, you guys can find those score reports, specifically the score reports for the 74F test. You guys can find those and plug your answers into the score report and see exactly which types of questions you're missing. From there, you guys can log into our free StarU tutoring app, where you'll be able to answer very specific question types exactly related to the types of questions that you're missing on the exam. So again, hopefully all of that makes sense, guys. Before we get into all of this, again, take the exam, watch the videos, and then log into StarU to see if you guys can get some of the same questions or practice some of the same questions that you missed on the exam before. Okay, hopefully all that makes sense, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the scale and scoring. So what you guys are going to notice, and this is the 74F test. Let's see, 74F. This is the actual scale for the 74F exam. And so for those that haven't seen this before, this is how the scale breaks down. So let me just explain a few things. For those that have seen it, I apologize. You guys can skip forward about 30 seconds and before when we get talking about the actual scores. But what I want you guys to look at is when you guys see these raw scores. So in the middle of the table here, and this again is the real 74F test scale. When you guys see these raw scores, so 74 out of 75, right? That is out of 75 questions. So the English test is 75 questions, the math test is 60 questions, the reading test is 40 questions, and the science test is also 40 questions. And then this relates to a scale score, which relates to that ACT score. So for those that aren't familiar, the ACT is out of 36 points. You are graded individually per section. And in those 4 sections, all of your individual scores per section are averaged out at the end to give you your composite score. What I want you guys to take a look at is how this test is graded in terms of how one of your school tests would be graded. In school, we're always taught, and this is what's so different about the ACT, or the SAT for that matter as well. In school, we're always taught that 100% gives you the best possible score. 100%, there's nothing else. If you get 100%, you get an A+. There's nothing else. That is not how a scaled, standardized test works. How this test works, on the other hand, is that you need to maximize the number of questions you answer correctly. So as an example, a 30 on the ACT is always thought of as pretty good. So let's take a look at this 30. Okay, so we get a 30 there. And then we have our, well, let's talk about the math section, or even better yet, let's talk about the reading section. Reading and math are probably the two that in terms of timing, reading is certainly one that we always hear about from students. What you guys will notice is that in order to get a 30 on the ACT reading section for 74F, again, this is test 74F, in order to get a 30, you only have to answer 32 questions correctly. Okay, so what that means, in school, 32 out of 40, right? 32 out of 40 is equal to an 80%. 32 out of 40 is equal to an 80%. On this test, if you get a 30 on the ACT reading section, you're in the 94th or 95th percentile, 94 to 95%. So what that tells us is we're getting a 15% bump on the 74F reading test. We're getting a 15% bump just by not worrying about the timing. Okay, so again, understanding that is so important, because we always hear like from students that struggle with the reading, like, oh, it's so fast, I always run out of time, I can never catch up. What I want you guys to see is that you don't have to answer that many questions correctly to get a 30, which is again in the 94th or 95th percentile. Even better yet though, guys, is this is assuming we get 32 questions correct. And on the reading test, for those that have seen it before, you guys will know that there are 40 total questions, 4 passages, 10 questions each. Let me give you guys an example. If we only answer 29 questions, but we're 100% sure that we've answered those 29 questions correctly. Okay, so there's a 29, right? You get 29 questions out of 40. Okay, you're 29, and that would be a 26 on the reading test, right? Wrong, right? It's like an infomercial. Right? Wrong. It's not a 26, and here's why. If you guys answer 29 questions correctly, 29, but you're 100% sure, you see those 29 questions, and you're 100% sure you get those right, and then the reason that you can assure yourself that you're getting those right is because you've taken all of the time that you're worried about to get through the entire test, and you apply that, and really now you're answering 29 questions in 35 minutes. Right? Instead of answering 40 questions in 35 minutes, which is the reading test time, you only have to answer 29 questions. Okay, so let me break that down. So again, 29 questions in 35 minutes. We hear students all the time be like, well, how do I know I'm going to get all 29 questions right? And I'll say to them, well, what's your goal score for the reading section? They'll say 33 or 34. It's like, if you get a 33 or 34 on this test, that's 37. You have to answer so many questions right anyway. So if you're worried about getting 29 questions right, but your expectation is to get a 34 on the exam, there's a different issue. Okay, so again, you have to be assured that you are focusing on accuracy more than anything, and that's true of every section, that you're focused on accuracy way ahead of timing. Because again, if you get 29 questions right, okay, that means you get 29 out of 30, which would be a 26, except we forget that we can guess on the remaining 11 questions. So let's scroll up here for a second. Again, this is the 74F test. These are the real answers. So let's say, guys, you get to question 29, right? This is the real answers for the reading test, and you have all of these questions left to guess, right? You have all of these questions left to guess. Okay, let's say then that you guess a random letter. Let's say it doesn't really matter here, guys. Actually, you can guess G, B. You can guess 4 different columns, right? Because there's 4 answer columns: A, F, B, G, C, H on the reading section, and then D, J. If you guys just guess the same exact letter down on the remaining 11 questions, right? So let's just say we're going to guess A, F all the way down. Coincidentally, if you guess B, G, or D, J, you'll get the same score anyway. So it doesn't even matter. I mean, that happens all the time. It doesn't even matter really which letter you choose, as long as it's not CH, but that's another thing. Hopefully you don't get unlucky. Watch another video. We have other videos that are going to be coming out you should definitely check out, because those are going to describe how you can use a guessing method to actually do even better. But let's just say we use AF for right now. Okay, we get number 30 right then, we get number 37 right, and we get number 39 right. So instead of 29 out of 40 right, we've actually earned 32 out of 40. And if you guys remember from earlier, 32 out of 40, right, was you got it, 30. Okay, so let's even change the color. That's how excited we are, right? You get a 32 questions right by only answering 29, but answering them accurately, and you get a 30 on the reading section. So if you're not already getting a 30, okay, if you're already getting a 30, this actually still works at every level. Then just don't rush. And if you're at a 30 right now and you can get to 32 questions right, then don't rush and see if you can get to a 35 using the same method. But if you're already at a 30, or if you're trying to get to a 30 and you're not there yet, this is a great strategy to try, because what it's going to do is it's going to take away all stress. It's going to take away all anxiety, because you only have to answer 29 questions in 35 minutes. That's plenty of time. You're eliminating 11 questions, all of the anxiety that goes with having to answer those 11 questions, that's out the window. You never have to do that again. And instead, you're going to focus on the 29 questions. You're going to focus on actually reading. Again, check out our other videos if you haven't already. Okay, that actually demonstrate our tutors taking this in real time. We highly encourage you guys to actually read through the entire reading section. You only have to get 29 questions correct. You have to only answer 29 questions correctly, and you still get a 30 on the reading section. Now, some of you are probably like, well, how do I know this works on every section? Let me show you what it's like on the math section. On the math section, for example, let's say on math, let's say we get to, you answer 45 out of 46 questions correctly, right? Which corresponds to a 28. So 45 out of 60 is equal to a 28. A 28 is in the top like 10 or 11 percentile in the country. On this, instead though, if you were taking this in school, that would be in the 70, you'd get a 75. That would be a C. On this test, it would be a B plus or an A minus. That's how massive the scale is. The scale helps you in so many ways if you're just focused on answering the 45 out of 60 questions that you know how to do. Right? I mean, what happens if I told you guys that in school? So 45 out of 60, I said to you in school, if your math teacher came up to you today and you had a test and they were like, you know what? I just want you to answer the 45 out of 60 questions that you absolutely 100% know how to do. And after that, I just want you to guess on the remaining questions. And if you do that, I'll give you a 95 on the test. Everybody in this that's watching this video will be like, yeah, I'll take that. That sounds pretty good. Because again, if you guarantee that you answer the 45 questions that you know how to do, we come back up here on the scale to the math section again, 45 questions that you absolutely know how to do. Let me see the answers for math. Okay, so let's just theoretically, and I know this isn't perfect because again, we have other strategies in terms of how you find those exact 45 you know how to do. But let's just say up to number 45, you're 100% accurate because you've taken the 15 to 20 minutes that you spent at the end of the math test on those harder questions. You take that time and you apply it to make sure that you don't miss any questions in the first 45. Let's say we guess again. Okay, we're just going to guess the same letter down. Let's say we pick, I don't want to make it the best letter here. So let's just say we pick A and F. That's good again? Let's see. Yeah, let's pick A. It looks like C and H or B and G might even be better. There might be a couple options here. You get 4 additional questions right. There's a couple that give you 4 more right out of the last 15, which makes sense. There's going to be a few. 4 out of 15 makes sense. If you guess the same exact letter all the way down, you get 4 out of 15 additional questions correct. Guys, again, you come back down here to the scale. If you understand how the scale works, if you get 4 additional questions, if you answer 4 additional questions correctly, okay, that gives you 49 out of 50. Guess what? We're back up to a 30. So if you're struggling with the math test, it's so important to understand that all you have to do is answer 75% of most test questions, 75% of the test questions. As long as you're accurate on those 45 questions, you just can guess the same letter the rest of the way down. It's very important that you guess the same letter. If you don't, again, we're going to come out with a guessing strategy video. That's going to actually be part of our membership plan, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. But please make sure that you check out that video as well. If you use the guessing strategy and you guess the exact same letter down, which is psychologically difficult to do, it's difficult to sit there and be like, I'm really going to just start guessing A and F on this test. That matters so much for college, right? For everything in your lives. You're going to guess A and F all the way down, but guess what? You get a 30. You get a 30 on the ACT math test. You don't have to answer that many questions to do really well on this test, guys. You just need to be accurate. So anybody that tells you anything about rushing through the test or about focusing on timing I would rather you guys take 50 untimed tests to make sure you're accurate before you ever take a time test. Because again, you don't have to do that well. Even if you're above a 30 and you're trying to improve, let's say you answer 53 questions correctly. Okay, you answer 53 out of 60 questions correctly, which would be like a B plus in school. And then on the math test, you guess from 53 down. So 53, you get all those questions right. And then you guess A and F, you get 2 more questions right. 2 more of the last, 7 questions. Guess what? If you get 53 questions right, you get 2 more, and instead of a 32, you get a 34. Now you're at a 34 on the ACT math test, and you didn't even see 7 of the questions because you took that 7 to 10 minutes that you're trying to rush through those hardest questions. You're gonna guess on those, which is kind of a guess anyway. Some of those questions are so hard on the math test, You guess on those, you apply that 7 to 10 minutes, the other 53 to make sure you're accurate, and you get a 34 on the ACT math section. Guys, I can keep going down the list, but I promise you that this applies at every level. It is so important that you guys understand how the scale and the score works. And if you do, that's the true secret to the ACT. It's the true secret to understanding how a standardized test works and how different it is from anything you'll see in school. So again, guys, you guys are doing such a great job in your preparation. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with the comments that we've seen on these videos and just your overall participation in trying to get better at this test. And if you understand how this scale works and you can commit yourself to what I talked about in this video, you will, the sky's the limit. We talk about these when we're even taking those real-time tests. It is so important to understand the scale and to not overwhelm yourself with all of this outside noise. To just take a deep breath, relieve all the stress, that when you get done with the test on a Saturday, even if it's the official thing, it's still Saturday afternoon, go hang out with your friends. The ACT is going to be a very small blip on the radar in your overall life. If you can relieve the stress and you guys can think about how this scale works, I guarantee you will do so well on your next exam. Okay, if you guys have any questions for us, please make sure that you comment below. We always like answering your questions. Like I said before, we've been invited to join the YouTube membership program, where we'll provide exclusive content to our channel members. So I encourage you guys to look at that link below. You guys can click join to, it's not going to immediately make you join, but you guys can see what the perks are of joining our membership program. And again, guys, overall, you guys are doing such a great job. I hope you do really well on your next test. Ask us anything that you have questions about. And yeah, guys, I'll see you guys next time for our next video. Have a great rest of your day and good luck on the next test.